Hello everyone, and welcome. Thanks for watching. Today we're going to go over the Bombadier build. This is a damage build based around the Radiant set. It has an unconventional way of doing damage though, and similar to the Enfeebler set, it has a lot of pieces that synergize in a unique or interesting way. So there's a lot to discuss. I apologize if I ramble on a little bit, but let me try to go over each piece one by one. First off, with this set, with this particular build, and the maxed out traits for critical hit chance, as well as the ice fruit, I have 100% crit chance while Hunter's Mark is active. We got 45% base thanks to the Burden of the Gambler, then an extra 30% from the momentum buff from the Radiant set, that puts us at 75, and then 95 with the Hunter's Mark, and to top it off, an extra 5% from the critical hit chance innate on the Pride of the Iskall. Believe it or not, the beam rifle is sometimes our primary damage source because we're actually getting a lot of utility out of the Pride of the Iskall. So let's talk about it now. You shoot 3 shots. Every time you pull the trigger, it shoots 3 rounds, and then those 3 rounds hit an enemy and explode, or the ground, or whatever surface. Because those all count as separate damage hits, you're doing up to 6 chances for critical damage and 6 chances to build your crit chance, which is wonderful. The Vulcan's detonator is nice for a little bit extra damage over time, especially if you are hitting enemies in like a group. The explosions can and will hit other enemies and light them on fire too. So it's very useful for really just finishing off an enemy, because you can shoot a regular mob and they won't necessarily die from the Pride of the Iskall outright, but then that extra fire damage will push them over the edge. Plus, the fire damage ticks. One of the damage numbers shows up every half second. So every second with 3 applications of fire, it's doing 6 procs of damage. Now, those don't benefit from our critical damage modifier on the left, but they do benefit from proccing the momentum buff from the Radiant set. As long as you have Hunter's Mark active, you have a chance for any of those hits to count as a critical, and then that keeps this buff refreshed. So it's a little bit easier to maintain the buff, which is ironic because it's called momentum. You can hit an enemy, run to the next, hit that enemy, run to the next, hit that enemy, and they're going to continue keeping that buff up for you, even if you have to dodge or move around a little bit because an elite's rushing your face. Not only that, but the Vampiric Weapon mod completely benefits from your critical chance and critical damage. So while it lists less than 400 damage total for those 4 beetles hitting one enemy, you'll actually get a lot higher than that because you're going to have 145% bonus damage with your critical damage, and since they have your crit chance, when you hit an enemy with this, you're going to be maxed out for the momentum buff. You hit any enemy with this, it's almost instantly going to fill you up to 10 of that buff. So it's really, really helpful to maintain your buff or to boost it really quickly during a boss fight or get it back up really quickly to try to finish something off. Plus, since you get healing based on the damage they're doing to an enemy, you can even hit an enemy that's low health, finish it off with another weapon, and you're still going to get a significant portion of healing back. Now you can tell, since we have 6 shots that are then lighting an enemy on fire, causing 6 fire damage procs a second that can independently crit, and then we have Vampiric mod that's doing tons of little hits that can also independently crit, we do benefit from the Devouring Loop. It's not going to be a huge damage bonus, but it is a very nice, very healthy addition, especially when you have one of the larger hits, like the explosions from the Pride of the Iskall, that manages to crit. You'll get almost 1,000 damage with one of those. And again, it's an AoE, so if there's enemies in a group, you have a pretty significant chance to do outright damage and wipe them out, and then the fire damage mops them up if that's not the case. Now, the cons, I'm not really sure that I listed them all, but really, you're not getting headshot damage, which doesn't matter a whole lot with the Pride of the Iskall because the explosions are not going to headshot anyways. But if you tried to headshot with the beam rifle, you're not really getting that bonus. And you can also blow yourself up really easy. Let me show you. you've got your normal blast, right? Cool, that's not so bad. But if you're close enough and the enemy manages to rush you while you try to kill them, well, you just lit yourself on fire and took damage from the explosions. And you can crit yourself. So it is more challenging to use this when there's a lot of enemies in close range, you know, in perspective of right next to you. But if they're all next to each other, they get the same bonus of you can hit them and light them all on fire and crit them. And again, if there's more than one enemy and that gets hit with the blast, they can all continue to boost your chance to crit and your critical damage. So this isn't what you'd want to do, like this isn't the build that you'd want for the highest possible critical damage ever. Absolutely not. But it is really good for clearing out large areas, doing a little bit of AoE damage to enemies that are either right next to you, or not right next to you, sorry, right next to each other, kind of like around the corner. You can shoot at the wall, you can shoot at the floor or other surfaces, and it will cause those enemies to take the damage from the fire and the explosion. By the way, I'm horrible at fighting this boss. You couldn't tell from the number of times I've fought it. He had very predictable attacks, but not for me. Run away from all your noise. See, the crit chance just went up super fast. Also, the bonus fire damage that you're getting from the Vulcan's detonator helps build your mod power of both the mods. So if you're down on your critical chance buff, you can get it up fairly quickly if you're going to use the extra fire damage to help proc it. Run away from this thing too. So this is a good chance for you to see some of the AoE damage. And then also see me die from it. Ooh, straight to the face. But you get the idea. Like I said, it's not going to be the one-shot build, but it's really, really, really fun to use against a variety of enemies in a lot of situations. And against normal enemies previous to this, like if you go back and look at the clip of this on Twitch, there's a lot of things that die really fast. Like elites are rushing and it knocks them out on the floor. Let's see if I can manage to kill this boss, and if not, oh well, we tried.
Here they come.
So apparently shooting him with that rifle is the reason why he gets staggered. I don't want that to happen. Maybe I should just do this. Hang out over here on the wall. That could work a little better, as long as he stays away from me. And this other thing stays away from me. Look at my critical buff, bottom right. That's what I mean. So they're still doing critical damage. And I just got health back from that. This looks like it's a little bit better of a showcase. I am gonna run away though. I don't want to die and he'll kill me. Oh, you're gonna do that assassination move. No, you ain't. Get out of here. Go stand in your radiation puddle, please. And thank you very much. Have a fantastic day. Now's a good time to buff with the frenzy, right? Oh, that's right. Ammo consumption. You might have a harder time getting and keeping your ammo up with this build. because you're primarily, if you're playing it like I am, you're using this pistol to get your damage, and that means you're not using other weapons. If you're only using one weapon, more ammo. Never come down here during this boss fight. I'm actually kind of scared. That's why. Looks like it was well worn. I can hear him coming up behind me. Don't run away. No, friend. Okay, note to self, don't run away from the boss and try to put stuff between you and him, because then he'll call his friends. What's over there? Oh, and he's just gonna go straight up in the room. That's how it is, I see. I'll be disappointed if I die right now. But I'll be more disappointed if he doesn't. Ooh, that was worth going another round. We had a good time. I feel like that was an adequate display of how this build can work. Especially since enemies clustered in a hallway, all blowing up together, was kind of the point of me mentioning the AoE part of this. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. Again, a lot of niche pieces that kind of fit together. You'll see the Vulcan's detonator in a lot of my videos, by the way, because it's such a unique piece. The fact that it causes other abilities that you have to gain the utility of fire damage over time, so they're indirectly causing more damage and also indirectly causing more mod generation, just makes it a really nice ability. And that's not even mentioning the fact that it's directly increasing the explosion damage that you're doing from abilities. So really you got 2 damage bonuses and then you have 2 utility buffs. Not bad for one piece of equipment. Anyways, thanks so much for watching. I hope this was informative and you find some use. Feel free to change up your weapon. And also you can change up the pistol to the hive cannon. Just know it's going to have a little bit more difficulty doing sustained damage, but you do have a better chance to get some really nice procs to the devouring loop. Damage wise, I'd say they're pretty even if you don't have to worry about dodging constantly during like a boss fight. However, I still have to say Pride of the Iskall is my go-to. The fact that the vampiric mod heals you and builds up the armor's buff is enough for me right there. All the extra stuff is nice, but that's fantastic. Well, thanks. I hope y'all had a good time watching, and thanks for listening to me ramble. If you got questions or comments, you can find me on Reddit or YouTube or Twitch or I don't know, lots of places. Thanks again, and y'all have a good night.